The FIFA World Cup is, without a doubt, the most prestigious and anticipated sporting event on the planet. Held every 4 years, it brings together the best national teams in pursuit of football's ultimate title. Throughout nearly a century of history, since the first edition in 1930 in Uruguay, some nations have stood out extraordinarily, repeatedly reaching the finals and writing their names in the pantheon of football's greatest powers. In this special article, we will explore in detail the 5 countries that have played the most World Cup finals, analyzing their trajectories, moments of glory, painful defeats, and the legacy they have built over the decades. Get ready for an exciting journey through the history of world football, starting from 5th place and climbing up to the absolute leader. In 5th place, we find France, one of the countries with the most World Cup finals, with 4 finals played and 2 titles won. French football has gone through different phases throughout history, but it consolidated itself as a world power from the final decades of the 20th century. The first French final took place in 1998, when France hosted the World Cup. Led by Zinedine Zidane, who scored 2 headers in the final, the French team beat Brazil 3-0 in a dominant performance at the Stade de France, winning its first world title amidst historic celebrations throughout the country. 8 years later, in 2006, in Germany, France returned to a final with an experienced team led by Zidane in his farewell to football. In a dramatic match against Italy, Zidane scored a penalty but was sent off in extra time for headbutting Materazzi. The game ended in a 1-1 draw and was decided on penalties, with Italy coming out on top and France finishing as runner-up. France shone again in 2018 in Russia. With a young and talented team led by Antoine Griezmann, Paul Pogba and Kylian Mbappé, the French national team beat Croatia 4-2 in the final, winning their second world title. Mbappé, at just 19 years old, became the second youngest player to score in a World Cup final after Pelé. In 2022, in Qatar, France reached the final again against Argentina in one of the most exciting matches in World Cup history. Kylian Mbappé scored a hat-trick, including 2 goals in the final minutes to force extra time, but France ended up losing on penalties after a 3-3 draw, finishing as runner-up. In 5th place, we find France, one of the countries with the most World Cup finals, with 4 finals played and 2 titles won. French football has gone through different phases throughout history, but it consolidated itself as a world power from the final decades of the 20th century. The first French final took place in 1998, when France hosted the World Cup. Led by Zinedine Zidane, who scored 2 headers in the final, the French team beat Brazil 3-0 in a dominant performance at the Stade de France, winning its first world title amidst historic celebrations throughout the country. 8 years later, in 2006, in Germany, France returned to a final with an experienced team led by Zidane in his farewell to football. In a dramatic match against Italy, Zidane scored a penalty but was sent off in extra time for headbutting Materazzi. The game ended in a 1-1 draw and was decided on penalties, with Italy coming out on top and France finishing as runner-up. France shone again in 2018 in Russia. With a young and talented team led by Antoine Griezmann, Paul Pogba and Kylian Mbappé, the French national team beat Croatia 4-2 in the final, winning their second world title. Mbappé, at just 19 years old, became the second youngest player to score in a World Cup final after Pelé. In 2022, in Qatar, France reached the final again against Argentina in one of the most exciting matches in World Cup history. Kylian Mbappé scored a hat-trick, including 2 goals in the final minutes to force extra time, but France ended up losing on penalties after a 3-3 draw, finishing as runner-up. In 3rd place, we find Italy, one of the most traditional and victorious nations in world football, with 6 World Cup finals played and 4 titles won. Italian football is known for its solid defense, refined tactics, and ability to win decisive matches. Italy began its World Cup history in overwhelming fashion. In 1934, it hosted the competition and won its first title by defeating Czechoslovakia 2-1 in the final. 4 years later, in 1938, in France, it defended the title by defeating Hungary 4-2, winning the Bicampeonato and establishing itself as the first great dynasty in world football. After a long hiatus, Italy returned to a final in 1970 in Mexico. In an epic semi-final against Germany, known as the Game of the Century, the Italians won 4-3 in extra time. In the final, however, they were defeated by Pelé's Brazil 4-1, in a match where Brazilian football art spoke louder. Redemption came in 1982 in Spain. Led by Paolo Rossi, who scored 6 goals in the competition, Italy defeated West Germany 3-1 in the final and won its third world title. In a memorable campaign in 1994 in the United States, Italy reached the final again after a solid campaign. In a historic decision against Brazil at the Rose Bowl, the game ended 0-0 after extra time and was decided on penalties. Roberto Baggio missed the decisive kick, and Brazil took the title, leaving the Italians as runner-up. Glory returned in 2006 in Germany. In a dramatic final against France decided on penalties after a 1-1 draw, Italy won its 4th world title. The match was marked by Zidane sending off for headbutting Materazzi in extra time, and by Italy's penalty victory, with Fabio Grosso scoring the decisive goal. We reached the runner-up. Brazil occupies the 2nd position in the ranking of finals played, with 7 decisions throughout its glorious history. Brazilian football is synonymous with art, creativity, and excellence, and its participation in finals reflects this victorious tradition. It is the only 5-time world champion in football. Brazil's first final occurred in 1950, when Brazil hosted the World Cup. At the Maracanã, in a match that became known as the Maracanazo, Brazil surprisingly lost to Uruguay 2-1. In one of the greatest tragedies in national football, redemption came in 1958, in Sweden, when Brazil won its first world title. With a young Pelé of only 17 years shining on the field, the Brazilian national team defeated Sweden 5-2 in a spectacular final that presented football art Brazilian to the world. In 1962, in Chile, Brazil defended its title by defeating Czechoslovakia 3-1 in the final, winning the World Bicampeonato. Even without Pelé, who was injured at the beginning of the competition, the team showed strength and quality. The peak of Brazilian football came in 1970, in Mexico. The selection commanded by Pelé, Jairzinho, Rivellino, and Carlos Alberto presented what many consider the best team of all time, defeating Italy 4-1 in the final and winning the Tricampeonato definitively, keeping the Jules Rimet Trophy forever. After 24 years of drought, Brazil shone again in 1994 in the United States. In a tense final against Italy decided on penalties, Brazil won its 4th world title, with Roberto Baggio missing the decisive kick for the Italians. In 1998, in France, Brazil reached the final as favorite but was surprisingly defeated 3-0 by the hosts, in a match marked by controversies about Ronaldo's physical condition. The phenomenon. The historic revenge happened in 2002, in South Korea and Japan. With a formidable attack led by Ronaldo, who redeemed himself by scoring 2 goals in the final, Rivaldo and Ronaldinho Gaucho, Brazil defeated Germany 2-0 and won its 5th world title, the famous Pentacampeonato, consolidating itself as the greatest power in world football. And finally, the great leader. The German national team occupies the absolute top of the ranking of World Cup finals played, with an impressive 8 decisions throughout its glorious history. This extraordinary consistency over decades is a testament to the strength of German football, its impeccable organization, and its ability to reinvent itself across different generations. Germany's first final occurred in 1954, in Switzerland, when West Germany won its first world title in an epic match against Hungary, known as the Miracle of Bern. Against all expectations, the Germans turned the game around and won 3-2, defeating the Hungarian selection that was considered invincible at the time. In 1966, in England, Germany reached the final again, but was defeated by the hosts in a controversial match that ended 4-2 after extra time. The Wembley goal, to this day, generates debates about whether the ball crossed the goal line or not. redemption came in 1974, when West Germany hosted the Cup and won its second title by defeating the Netherlands 2-1 in the final in Munich. It was the consecration of a talented generation led by Franz Beckenbauer, the Kaiser. The 1980s were marked by lost finals. In 1982, in Spain, Germany lost to Italy 3-1. 4 years later, in Mexico 1986, it was Maradona's Argentina's turn to come out on top, winning 3-2 in an exciting final. But Germany didn't give up. In 1990, in Italy, the perfect revenge arrived. With a solid team led by players like Lothar Matthäus and Jürgen Klinsmann, Germany defeated Argentina 1-0 and won its third world title. After German reunification, the selection remained strong. In 2002, in South Korea and Japan, it reached the final but was defeated by Brazil 2-0. The consecration finally came in 2014, in Brazil, when Germany applied a historic 7-1 thrashing against the Brazilian national team in the semifinals and then defeated Argentina 1-0 in the final, with a goal by Mario Götze in extra time, winning its fourth world title. These five nations, France, Argentina, Italy, Brazil, and Germany, have dominated the World Cup scenario throughout history, together accounting for 31 of the 22 finals played. Some finals were between these very countries. This dominance reflects not only individual talent, but also solid organizational structures, deeply rooted football traditions, and the ability to consistently form talented generations. Brazil stands out as the only five-time champion, while Germany and Italy have won 4 titles each. Argentina and France complete the podium with 3 and 2 titles respectively. Each of these nations has contributed uniquely to the history of football, creating unforgettable moments, revealing legends of the sport, and inspiring millions of fans around the world. May the next World Cups come, and may new stories be written by these and other nations passionate about football.